3 rings, multiple-time Pro Bowler, popular radio host now in Denver. He's Fox Sports 2, Mark Schlereth, joining us live. 3 things, because when you bounce around the league and go to these different teams, I've said this before, I'm kind of tied to a studio. I love going out, going to a game. You get insights from coaches that you can't get if you just stayed in Denver. So you're doing Packer games and Niner games, and you get some insight. Some of it you can't necessarily report even during the game. But I want to start, you did a Packer game last year. So, and now that Aaron's gone, you got a little sniff of what to expect from Jordan Love. I've said, I'm just watching the words of Green Bay. Temper expectations. It's a rebuild. And I'm like, he's been there. This will be his 4th year. He's not a Joe Burrow in an hour we knew could play. I went back yesterday or 2 days ago, and I looked up Joe Burrow's first OTA, and it was Burrow annihilates Bengals defense. And I'm like, so you tell me, what are your expectations for Jordan Love? And go back to that week you covered the Packers and the discussions about him then as a backup.
Yeah, well, when I was covering him, I went back and looked at a game from several years ago, and then looked at the game that he had last year where he came in and replaced Aaron Rodgers. And night and day difference from a timing standpoint, from understanding when to deliver the football, pocket presence, you name it, he had it all. And it was interesting talking to Aaron, because one of the things they went back and did was they brought Tom Clemens back, which was Aaron's quarterback coach back when Aaron first became a Green Bay Packer, and he was backing up Brett Favre. And he talks just about the immense impact he's had on his quarterbacking life, from technique to footwork to the drills that he installs. And so Jordan Love got to live in that world for a while under Tom Clemens. But Aaron said that the one big thing about Jordan Love last year, probably more than any other year, was the way he approached being on the look squad. And every day, he is working on that look squad to just eviscerate that defense, just to take them to task. And that's where you start to learn how to make an off-platform throw, to be accurate, to use different body mechanics, to basically really hone your craft. And, just talking to Aaron about it, he was like, man, Jordan Love is ready to break out. And he understood them moving on from him, much like they did in Green Bay from Favre to Rodgers. He understood that aspect. And I believe my sense from Aaron is that he's expecting Jordan Love to have a really good season and really start to progress.
All right, that's very positive. Let's go to Trey Lance. I believe you did multiple Niner games. They bring in Sam Darnold, who, by the way, when you tell him what to do and he doesn't get too ad-libby, you've done some Darnold games, he gets into trouble when he starts going off script and ad-libbing, decision-making. Right. If you ask Sam to go back, deliver a strike, he can do that. That's the Niner offense. Did you get kind of a sense when you're doing Niner games that this Trey Lance thing may not work?
Yeah, I think that what you thought you were probably going to get and what you got are 2 different things. I think Trey Lance is he's a big kind of straight line, incredible athlete, but he's not that edge to edge, sideline to sideline Lamar Jackson type of athlete out of the pocket. So I think it limited some of the run game that you were planning on implementing on the RPO games and some of the quarterback designed run stuff, where when you go back and watch Trey Lance, most of his runs were like quarterback power that were back up between the tackles as opposed to attacking the edge. And I think that was one of the things that they just realized, not quite the athlete we thought he was going to be, when we tested out. So there was that aspect of it. I'm telling you that Brock Purdy is the guy there. That if he is healthy, he is the guy they like. I believe that his foot energy, his understanding of protection, where to get rid of the football. I just think they found a guy as Mr. Irrelevant that they think that can lead that team to a championship. So I think that's the direction you're going to go in. And then, Trey Lance, if he gets healthy and maybe at some point he's trade bait down the road. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Sam Darnold be the backup in that situation to Brock Purdy.
Okay, so Denver, whole new thing, Sean Payton in town. You told me during the break he has changed a lot of business with the Broncos.
Yeah, there is no question. I mean, he is large and in charge. It's nice to have an adult back in that building. based on what went on a year ago was just for lack of a better term, it was a clown show. And, Sean has come in and little things that become huge things. Like he was in this facility for several weeks and was in the cafeteria, realized non-essential personnel were in there. The business people were coming down there to have lunch. No, you can pack a brown bag or you can leave the building, but you're not allowed to mingle with the football players. You're not allowed to mingle with the coaching staff. You're not allowed to be in our area. This is a sanctuary, and I need to protect my players and let them be free to have the conversations they have, to talk about the football stuff without fearing that somebody's hanging over their shoulder. And so just little things like that you change the organization with. And then it really comes down with Sean Payton is everybody wants to attack a weakness. And, everybody can see, hey, my matchup here is really good. But the first order of business for Sean Payton is to mitigate potential disaster. And all that means is, hey, man, the first thing I have to do is make sure that my players are not put in a position to fail, because if they fail and I put them in that position, well, then I'm the moron that put them there, right? And so even little things like changing the progression of a route combination. So let's say you're running a curl with a flat. Everybody in the NFL, 100% of all teams run curl flat. It's a very day one installation deal, right? And you go from the flat route, which is just an outside, 2-yard deep to 4 yards, just a flat route on the outside running toward the sideline, and the curl runs around 12 yards behind it. And you normally will always read flat to curl. Well, if you're taking a 5-step drop and you're a quarterback, if that flat's not open, you hitch up. If that offensive line's coming backwards and you're hitching up, guess what you lose? You lose vision of that curl route. And so even if it's something as simple, I'm not saying they're doing this, but even if it's something as simple as going, hey, let's read that backwards. Let's read curl to flat. So if that flat defender goes out and keeps leverage, man, throw the curl right now. And now I don't have to step up and lose vision as the offensive line comes back behind, comes back into me. So little things like that for a guy who's 5'10", they make a huge difference. And I think that's what you have to understand, how Sean Payton will help mitigate disasters and put Russell Wilson in a position to do what he does well, as opposed to exposing what he doesn't do well.
Josh Jacobs may hold out. Garoppolo missed on a physical. The owner met with a coach last year. In all your years in the league, there was a time when the Raiders were visionaries and projected very well in the draft, and they developed. Those times are gone. You tell me in that division, what do you make of I called them earlier, I said they're a volcano with a logo. There's always something bubbling under the surface. Are you surprised, Josh McDaniels, second opportunity, Derek Carr, how it's all unraveled?
Yeah, I am to some degree. It's been, it's been somewhat of a mess, and Josh McDaniels coming in there and they're trying to, rectify that and change that situation. But I love Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a great guy. He is a really good quarterback. Let's just face it, though. I mean, your ability or inability to stay healthy is an issue. And now you've got the issue with Josh Jacobs not having a contract, wanting a long-term deal. And defensively, they have been a mess over the last several years, not being able to compete on that side of the ball. So it has been one of those things where, and I believe this, even though, they were my number one rival in my 6 years in Denver, the league's a better place when the the Vegas Raiders now are relevant. And so, it's kind of a mess, and there's a lot to be done there to make them relevant once again.
Mark Schlereth, 3 rings, 2-time Pro Bowler. Have you gone fishing? What are you doing this summer? What's Mark Schlereth doing? Have you gone fly fishing, rafting? What do you do?
No, I work in my yard, and I've really been spending a lot of time breaking down film, which I don't know. I'm a junkie that way. Yeah. So I've been looking at concepts and what people run out of certain formations and personnel groups and things like, really fun stuff like that, Colin, is what I've been digging into.
The nicest yard in the Denver burbs belongs to Mark Schlereth.
Right.
He puts pressure on his neighbors. He's that guy. Oh, he makes us all feel.
I'm the guy that everybody's complaining. They said there's a some neighborhood app now. It's kind of like a social media app. I'm the guy on the neighborhood app that everybody complains about. This guy mowing his yard again for the third time this week. I can't stand this dude.
Good seeing you, buddy. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.